Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads. This is honestly take like in the 20s. But this time we're gonna do it. So you are here because this is another video in the Why You Should Read series, and today we're gonna tackle why you should read Dan Brown. Dan Brown is an American-born author that was born in 1964 and resides in New Hampshire. He attended Exeter University. He has written 8 books, 7 which he is more famously known, and of the 7, probably 5 is more infamously known, and those 5 books are all revolved around the Robert Langdon series, but he did write 2 standalone novels, which are Digital Fortress and Deception Point. The 8th book we'll talk about in just a minute. He has won no major awards, no Pulitzer, no other major writing awards in different categories, and in doing my research, I found that very fascinating because at the same time, he is up there with J.K. Rowling and other prolific writers in terms of numbers of copies of books sold all time. It's hundreds of millions of copies, but yet he hasn't won any major awards. So I found that kind of interesting. In terms of the genre, he writes predominantly in the mystery, thriller, and adventure categories. And that's definitely something that's right in my wheelhouse. So if it's in your wheelhouse, you'll definitely enjoy some of his books if you haven't already read them. Obviously, there's 3 movie adaptations that were released on the big screen, and Robert Langdon was characterized and played by Tom Hanks. Those movies are The Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, and Inferno. There is a 4th book in the Robert Langdon series, The Lost Symbol, that was made into a TV adaptation in 2021. Some unique kind of cool facts about Dan Brown is Brown co-wrote his first book, the 8th book, that he has written and is definitely not known for. He actually co-wrote that book with his wife, and he wrote it under the pseudonym of Danielle Brown. And that book is 187 Men to Avoid. It's kind of a survival dating book that is told in the perspective of for a woman. And so I found that very interesting. Something else that was kind of interesting that I found during my research is while he was at Exeter, he was teaching a creative writing course, and one of the students wrote a essay or article around how to assassinate the president or assassinating the president that sparked the interest of the Secret Service. So when they came to the university and did an investigation, Dan Brown got the idea for Digital Fortress and the NSA and code breaking and Big Brother and watching, making sure we're watching secrets and nothing bad's going to happen and that kind of thing. That's how he kind of got the idea. So I found that kind of fascinating. One other thing too that was interesting in my research that I wanted to share with you all is that Brown is a pianist, and before he kind of went down the road of writing, he moved to Hollywood, California, and gave a go on releasing a CD around synthesizer and piano music. Obviously, it didn't take, and he switched gears and did the writing, and we're all benefiting from that, but I thought that was very interesting as well. In terms of what makes him a great author, in my opinion, I think he does a great job researching. I find that, I'm very immersed in his books, especially around the Robert Langdon series, because it tackles some subject matter that I find fascinating, which makes him a good writer for me. And some of that is the code breaking, the puzzles, the symbology, the secret society stuff around Opus Dei and the Illuminati. It's fascinating, and obviously is right up the wheelhouse of the fictional character of Robert Langdon, which is why we have 5 books in that series, and I would love to have another one on it, quite honestly. So I really enjoy that. I also think he does a fantastic job as an author of mingling pace, plot, twists all around all this research without, again, getting overly lectury about what you're reading. And so I find it very fascinating. And again, I feel like I'm very immersed in that world, and I'm very invested in the character of Robert Langdon. I also feel like there's not a lot of slog and fluff in his books. I think they're fast-paced, and I don't feel like at any point, like you get with some other authors I enjoy, that sometimes, it's a great punch in the beginning, and there's a great climax at the end, but the middle can be kind of muddy. I don't really get that a lot with Brown. There's definitely these cool things and twists that kind of carry the middle section for me in most of his books, and so I really appreciate that. I also like the fact that Brown doesn't publish books like James Patterson or others where you get one like every 6 months. There's quite a time period in between books, and it obviously goes to the fact that he's researching and writing and redrafting and everything else, and I think it definitely makes for a polished product that he puts out. And obviously, you know, as I mentioned, a massive amount of sales and numbers of copies sold, I mean, it doesn't hurt him from that perspective as well. So where should you start if you've never read a Dan Brown book? Again, there's 2 standalone books, you know, Digital Fortress and Deception Point. They're good. They're definitely not, I don't kind of find them as the creme de la creme. I really feel like the Robert Langdon series is where most people should start. And obviously there isn't definitely a misnomer out there that most people think when it comes to, oh yeah, Dan Brown, he wrote the Da Vinci Code, and that's the first book they pick up. Well, if you can do that, and that's the beauty of the 5 books in the Robert Langdon series. You can really pick out any one you want. My recommendation, though, is you should start in kind of order. It's not that you have to. I just think you should. And the first book is Angels and Demons, and I find this book really, really fascinating. Then you go into Da Vinci Code, and then it is The Lost Symbol, and then Inferno, and then his most recent book, which was Origin. But again, you can start these books anywhere you want. So of the 5 Robert Langdon books and the 2 standalones, you could start anywhere you wanted. Again, I find his books really, really well. I think he's a fantastic author. So I hope this kind of gives you some insight into Dan Brown. I am always on the lookout for when his next book is going to come out. He's one of the ones I definitely would like to immediately grab. And so with that being said, I hope you're having a great weekend, and I hope you enjoy this content and this type of videos. I'm going to continue with this series because I think I like to do the research and find out more about these authors that I enjoy, and so I hope you enjoy it as well. So enjoy your Friday, and thanks for tuning in. Thanks.